Shalom, shalom. This brother Kapaya Yash would hit the button lesson on this highway heading home from West Texas. Going back, to Houston. And sometimes you be wanting to do a lesson, and sometimes you just have to hit the button and just go to talking. And the Heavenly Father, He will put something to talk about in your mind, because He controls the mind. What is Proverbs 21:1? He controls the king's heart. He controls the man of the Lord's heart, the followers. He got to control it in order for you to get the understanding. He got to control it and in order for you to know the name of the Lord and call on the name of the Lord. But it is so much judgment in the earth. And we have to understand that all this judgment, all this shooting, all these stabbings, all this raping, all this, pedo and all this mess is all orchestrated by the Heavenly Father to carry out what? Judgment. So, when we see judgment as of now and in a few weeks and months, we're gonna see a lot more. It was horrific shooting in Shreveport, Louisiana, with this young man unaliving, I want to say 8 of his children. The Spirit of the Lord, it wasn't, the Heavenly Father put a wicked spirit in that man to carry out judgment. We don't know what that man did. We don't know what those children did in their past life. And I'm telling you, when it's time to pay up, it's time to pay up. We don't understand it because we don't know what this man and those children have done. Oh yeah, it was horrific. Yes, it was sad. But once you get into the truth and you understand, that the Heavenly Father, he kills and he makes us alive. He do all this. This is what he does. And then you come back, you get judged on all things that you have done, good and bad. And then he'll bring you back into the earth. You can read that what is it? 2 Corinthians 5:10. You die, you go to the spirit world, you get judged on good and bad, on what all you did, and then you brought forth back into this hell that we in called earth. And that set time, that set date, set month and year when He's going to carry out that judgment. It's time to pay up. He requires your spirit. And that's just what it is. It's always hard to see, little babies, toddlers, get unalive like that. It's hard. But we don't know the judgment. People always say, well, those children, they didn't do nothing wrong. They innocent. You don't know what that child did in his or her past life. I want to say it's Job 4:7, if I'm not mistaken. Whoever dies being innocent. If I'm, just paraphrasing. Whoever dies, being innocent. No. Death is sin. Sin is death. You know, we're not in our perfective stage yet. So sins equal death. Whatever that person did in their past life, Heavenly Father judged them, and they will carry out their judgment on the earth, here in hell. This is hell. You know? So just prepare your mind to see some horrendous, scary, just some terrible stuff in Jacob Trouble. And you got to understand, when you see a woman, just like Denzel in that movie, Eli saw that woman getting raped, by a group of guys, you got to keep on going. And you got to look at it like this here. That's judgment. You can't be Captain Saber Hope in those days. And to the elect men, we ain't gonna be Captain Saber Hope in those days. Because the Heavenly Father gonna put a spirit of knowing who you were. If you was one of those women with the bull ring in your nose, acting that you're better than the man, you don't need a man, have a husband, he took care of you, then all of a sudden he declined in his power, his health, his wealth, and then you leave. No, Heavenly Father give us a spirit of discernment on who you were. No, you ain't gonna just get no free ticket for help and protection and food and water or wine or whatever. Because it tell you in Isaiah 65:13 that his people is going to be eating, drinking, and rejoicing while everybody is starving, starving of food and being, thirsty for water and wine or whatever, strong drink, and not able to get it, to like it. And they are not going to be rejoicing. They're going to be in sorrow, So, times are getting hard. People are waxing cold, Matthew 24:13. And this generation here, Gen Z, as they call themselves, the YN groups, boy, I'm telling you, these people here, and I'm glad they coming out with a draft, because a lot of you YN and YBs, they are holding y'all back from fighting in the war right now. And I have not seen not one woman kick up any type of dirt on, that sexism. You give a man all the jobs and all this. See, the deal is, a woman, she wants everything that's going to benefit her and uplift her over the man. But when it come down to war, when shit hit the fan, you won't hear a zip. Her mouth, her lips, it's like, you get some, you know how I be talking when their lips all poked out, now it seems like somebody got a zip tie and put across their lip, and you ain't heard not one noise about going into war. That let you know that a lot of our women, they talk a good game, but when shit hit the fan, they go ahead and put that lollipop in their mouth and put those pink and green and yellow and orange barrettes in their hair, and they skip around like little girls. You don't see no masculinity in a woman. Now with these soldiers, female soldiers, they they keeping the fuck quiet. And some of them are in some of them are getting pregnant purposely to not go to war. You know, so yeah, you women, you up next, because if they can't go, if these men can't go and get this Iraq, fuel or oil or whatever thing under control, guess what, you women, especially if a lot of men, a lot of death, yeah, you women, you going over there too. See there, you talked all that shit. Now you got to put up or shut up. And a lot of you are shutting the fuck up. Give me 1 second. So, yeah, we are in perilous time, and forgive me for the rant, but this part of my, hit the button. Anything is going to come out, and I'm going to be on different topics, but, we are in evil time, and you got to have the Spirit of the Lord with you. If you don't have him, you're going to be part of the news. People are going to be reading about you. I was talking to my neighbor at where I was working at out there in West Texas, and she came out, Caucasian Edomite woman, just came out and just started talking to me, while I was cleaning my vehicle. And, we were talking about the jump shot, people that took the jump shot, and she just came straight on out and told me about one of her friends ended up with the alphabet from taking that jump shot. It's in the jump shot. People, this man, he is a death angel. He said that he wanted to depopulate the world. I can't think of that man's name. Edomite man with the glasses. There's a whole lot of them. But he literally said out of his mouth that we need to make a way to do away with a certain percentage of the world population right there in front of multiple people, and I guess the people, and a matter of fact, and he was over this jump shot thing, the P. Diddy, if you get what I'm saying. I ain't talking about P. Diddy, that's in jail, but it sounds like P. Diddy. Pam Diddy, Pam, follow, understand what I'm saying? Damn it. So anyway, people wasn't paying attention. He's over that. And that let me know that, and I knew it, that Esau in the lab created those alphabets to destroy. He experimented. He experimented on people like guinea pigs, to see how it's gonna react, see what it's gonna do, and then take the bodies, open it up, and study to see what it do to the tissues of the body, the heart, the liver, the lungs, the blood vessels, your arteries and all that. He look at the rest of the world, especially the Israelites, as, like I said, guinea pig. Like you finna go and in high school, back in the day, I don't know if they still do it now, where they used to just get a frog and just, kill it and open it up and study, the parts of of the body. And that's the way he looked at the Israelites. You know? So, you know, she was telling me that her friend that was a virgin, you know, and she was, you know, she met this guy, and the guy was saying, hey, you know, we gotta go get a jump shot. And she said, no, I'm not getting it. He went and got it, and, you know, when the timing is right, you know, she went on and opened up to him, and she ended up having those alphabets. First time. And I remember hearing Elder Malcolm saying that, you know, it's in there. It's in those jump shots. So, you know, you brothers, you know, that's female, you know, for women, hey, you know, say a prayer, put on your you know, your hard hat, you know, and you know, do what you gotta do, but hey, don't be trying to, you know, go in raw with none of these women. You know, hey, go ahead and get you a blood test. Get your blood test. You know, because when a man and a woman get together, and you know, a few times that man gonna put on that hard hat, then after that he gonna want to go in. You know, just like Eddie Murphy said at one of his sit downs, he had said, I put my dick on the crap table many a night. You know, and that was during the time in the 80s when, you know, when those alphabets were real big then. You know, it was a big scare. But you know, just make sure, you know, that you know, protect yourself, and number one, stay in the truth. You know, don't just, you know, just look at the beauty of a woman and not take our time and get to know her. You know, and now you know, you men and you women too, you know, before y'all do anything here, you know, you might want to go hit that clinic up, you know, and it's a big situation. I was going to say the P word. There's a big issue there in Houston, you know, with these different types of STDs. So, you know, I'm blowing the horn to you young bullets. You know, you young boys, you young men, you know, there's burning, you know, wanting a woman, protect yourself, you know. But yes, and I was like, you know, when that Edomite woman told me about that, I was like, man, that's, you know, I'm not saying that what she told me sealed the deal and I believed it. No, you know, when I heard it from Malcolm and heard it from, you know, from other, you know, brothers, I believed that, you know, and some of my family members took it. So if anything happened, you know, they passed away, you know, due to that, I will be doing a video on that just to, you know, bring forth awareness. You know, when you meet a woman, meet a girl, you know, ask them, you know, have you took that jump shot back in 2021, 22, you know, 23 or whatever, and if they say, you know, yes, then, you know, you might want to walk away from that. No, ain't no might. You need to get away from that. And if she didn't, or if he didn't, or whatever, still go get a blood test, because a lot of people are catching on to this, and they don't want to, you know, let everybody know, and not, you know, and not, you know, stop, you know, having, you know, sex. You know, you you got a lot of people that got it and they lie about it, and now you end up having it because you going by what the person said. I don't. No. Let's go ahead and go up here to the clinic, and so that we can know for sure. It won't be no word of mouth. But anyway, like I said, people are waxing cold. People don't care about people no more. I remember coming up, I've seen fights, a lot of fights. But these Gen Z, I don't know what it is. Maybe these people here love to play soccer or kickball or whatever, but they love to kick people. I see more fights where people get kicked in the head. It's almost like it's a style, like a hairstyle. Like this is what you're supposed to do. When I was coming up in the 80s, and guys that I knew that had fathers, I remember seeing other fathers showing their son, how to, put up their dukes, knock them down, punch them in the stomach, and if that doesn't work, and he might get the best of you, then you might have to pick up something or haul out and go to running. I tell anybody, listen, if you can't win a fight, ain't no shame in running, because which one more embarrassing? You running because you can't whoop this guy, or you just getting your ass stomped out, getting humiliated? Either way, people gonna laugh and talk about you, but I'd rather be laughing and talking about I'd rather be laughing and talking right along with you rather than laying up in the hospital with tubes in my mouth. Every man can't whoop every man. At least you tried and that failed. So now you might have to go ahead and let them Nikes do the running. You just have to go ahead and move on. You come back another day if you want to get back at the man. But yeah, I never heard my father or seen any other father from what my friends told me about, their father telling them how to fight. I learned how to fight through my father and stuff like that. Never in my life I heard any of those guys saying, kick them in the head. These young guys, these YNs, and not just YNs, you got females doing this stuff too. With, stilettos on, kicking females in the head. I mean, do you not think that you can kill that person? They don't think twice about that. They think that if I kick them in the head, after, a little bit, maybe, a little while, 5-10 minutes, they'll get up and everything be normal. No, you messing with their mental. This here can be a life, tragic, injury, But people don't, they don't love they don't have no love for, I don't want to hurt this person really. I just want to knock him down, or just have him to leave me alone so I can move on. But these, man, I'm telling you, listen, Deuteronomy 28 and 54 is real. At one point we used to be tender with each other. Of course fights gonna happen, Salaki, give me 1 second. Well, I'm gonna let this go by, and then I'm gonna go ahead and finish up. But alright, Salaki for that. Deuteronomy 28 58 and 54, men used to be tender amongst each other, right? But now their eyes are evil. And, you know, doing something like that to another brother that's down, that's evil. You know, at least, you know, when my father was coming up, when my older brother was coming up, and myself, you know, you get knocked down, the fight over with. Or if we saw a guy, you know, he didn't, let's say, you know, he might have been nervous or scared or whatever, and we saw it, you know, a group of guys saw it, man, leave the man alone. You see he don't want to fight you. You know, leave him alone. And that there will be it. Now, you see a guy, he might be, you know, afraid or whatever. It seems like these guys here get 10 feet tall and bulletproof. They want to, you know, they just want to fight. They don't give a damn about, you know, his mom, his dad, how they going to react when they see him all busted up. No, they don't care. You know? But we just in these times where people, you know, they just wax cold. Don't give a damn. You know, we dealing with people, they, you know, they will sit in the bush and wait to get you and whoever with you, your mama, your auntie, your grandma, everybody get it. You know? So, you know, we just sitting back, you know, waiting for the fall of Esau so that we can, you know, have the beginning of Jacob. You know, this second Ephesians 6 and 9, where it said the end of Esau is the beginning of Jacob. We need new management, even with our own fucking people. Yeah, Esau, of course, but I be damn, our own people. Goodness, you know. Boy, I'm telling you, you know, we just, like I said, you know, I know most of this is a straight, you know, rant, but, you know, this here has to be said, and somewhere down the line, somebody going to hear it, and it's going to be, you know, something that they need to hear, because I'm sure I'm not the only one thinking like this. So, you know, this was just a little hit the button, you know, little rant. I'm going to go ahead and end it right here. Hopefully this here will be edifying. Hope you didn't mind my rant, but I'm going to end it right here. Hopefully it was edifying